know people do something to that nature.
Sure.
But they also did bad.
I don't think it's as bad, but like, they did.
I can't say we get AIDS. I mean,
Maybe I don't know. It's
I love people do that. That's what I used to do.
we go to 60s.
I think we get into the mountains by school.
Those people are
but apparently more strict.
Yeah.
Because the people from industrial relations said they also got
Sharp.
Yeah.
shelved in first semester. No, like proper.
That is bad.
Like they didn't say he grafted it, he got 50-50. Yeah.
Realistically, I only feel like that, but that question I messed up with when I switched it and then to answer like, yo, now that's supposed to be 10 marks. And I like those 10 marks. So we did that 20 marks too, I don't know. 10 marks.
All right. So,
Those
I hope you guys are all well. Yeah, if you haven't collected your script, I think all you guys have. I'm returning them today. So. Yeah.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You should see my stats. I think yours is bad.
Yeah.
It was the second test. So. But they'll be fine.
Yeah,
They'll get
no, yeah.
Okay.
That's challenging.
Yeah. All right. So as I highlighted to you guys, please make sure you tell the guys on the group to come through on Monday. It's going to be an attendance ice. So yeah, make sure that you come through on Monday. I think it'll be a very productive session. Well, it's a chance for you guys to get a bit of insight in what's happening in industry, what you guys need to be doing now to prepare yourselves for then. You know, whatever questions you might have, I'm sure on some level she'll be able to.
So does she own her own practice? Or
No,
is she working for
no,
one of the big four?
she's working for a company. I've actually forgotten the name of the company. It's not one of the big four auditing firms. Yeah, but it's auditing orientated accounting firm. Yeah, she once worked for Auto in General
Okay.
at some point. Yes, Thomas?
So, are you bringing her in, or is this the boss?
No, it's me bringing her in. It's the easiest and fastest way to bring in.
No, I'm just asking.
No, I'm just saying from my experience, the easiest thing is for the lecturer to go and get people. Yeah. So anyway, let me proceed with this. So learning unit 7, second last learning unit, is pricing policy and transfer pricing. Okay. Right. So here we're looking at the pricing policy of the business. And when we're talking about pricing policy is the standard procedure used by a company to set its retail prices for goods or services. A company's primary objective when setting prices is to recover its costs. I'd say one of. I wouldn't say it's the ultimate, because ultimately we want to maximize shareholder wealth, isn't it? So at the very least, we want to make sure we cover our costs. Okay. So yes, it is a primary objective, but it's not the first and foremost one. Okay. Before meeting our costs, I think more importantly, you would want to make a return. Okay. So there's a reward on your time and energy that you've invested into whatever business venture you're obviously engaging in. Then variables influencing pricing policy, right? You have obviously internal factors and external factors that would impact the pricing decisions in a company. Okay, some of which they are going to highlight, as you can see on this very next slide, where internal factors, here they're speaking to the company's strategy. What are we looking to do, right? Are we looking to have a huge market share? Then obviously we need to ensure that our pricing is aligned with what the average consumer within that market is able to pay, right? And then obviously manufacturing and administration costs, right? Are those things being covered? that will obviously influence our pricing strategy. Consistency with basic pricing philosophy. Okay. The company will obviously have a philosophy, right? And therefore, is it aligned with that? Then corporate responsibility and reputation. Sometimes, I don't know if some of you know this, but Michael Jordan gets a lot of flack for the pricing of his shoes. Same thing with Kanye West as well. I'm trying to think of any other big names that we are aware of. Because their pricing is not the pricing that any Tom, Dick, and Harry can afford. It's quite substantial, and therefore, obviously, you get people who get killed in certain areas just because I'm wearing Jordans, and obviously, you want my Jordans, and as a result, you forcefully take them off me, so to speak. Same thing with Kanye shoes as well. Okay, so yeah, just speaking to corporate responsibility and reputation in that regard. Okay, I thought one of you was actually speaking. Then product characteristics. What are the characteristics of our product? Are they high end? Are they medium? Are they low end? That will obviously also influence our pricing. Okay. Also, you find that, for instance, if I'm to use a bad example, but let's say like Sony PlayStation, for example, or any video game for that matter. If we sell you one pad, right? Um, there's a huge likelihood that you're going to come back to buy another pad, right? So we can sell the console and the one pad and maybe one game fairly cheaply, right? But we know you're going to need other games. And that's where now we're going to catch you, because that we're going to price higher. Does that make sense? Or the second pad, and whatever other components that will obviously add to your gaming experience. Okay, we could extend this to other software, other technology orientated products, and so on. All right. Same thing with services. You know, if you look at ChatGPT, it's free, right? We experience the value that we get when it's free, but then there's limitations on what you can do with it. And then when you want to now actually have it do something on a PDF document or create a PowerPoint for you, I don't know if any of you have tried that. Okay, it can actually do that for you. Okay, right? That's when now you're like, oh, can't do this on the free option, and therefore it pushes you to then obviously get the paid version. Does that make sense?
$20.
Yeah, it is.
How much is it?
$20.
But a month,
Week a month.
every month is $20. It's not bad though, depending on your usage.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if you're using it on a daily basis, then it kind of just works up to like less than $1.
Yeah. So
Girl, yeah.
remind me to tell you guys something that might be of value to you after we're done with the session. Yeah, regarding ChatGPT. Okay. Then the last point there, stage in the product life cycle. Okay. When something is new and shiny and everybody is drawn to it, attracted to it, like iPods when they first came out, everybody wanted an iPod, right? The early stage of the life cycle of the product, it's easy for you to charge something significant if it obviously has hit the market in that fashion. Same thing with Blackberries. Everybody wanted a Blackberry. Right?
The 8620 or something. The little brief.
I'm taking Thomas down memory lane here. Okay?
BBM pins, yes.
You had that?
Yeah.
You never had BBM?
We used to memorize our BBM pins and used to go to the cherries. Hey, what's your BBM pin? Yes.
There was a time people never took numbers.
60, yeah.
It was just BBM pin.
You know, you had 60 then you could do as much searching on the internet. It was 60 rand a month.
Yeah.
You could search as much as you wanted on the internet.
It was a different
Data
experience.
bundle was no such thing back in those days.
No.
Actually, we got two different times.
Who?
We had some.
And it was
Yeah.
like a competition. Who had the most
Thomas, how old are you?
Right?
How old are you?
I'm 22. This happened back in grade 3.
1 year is not even generation.
Oh, it seems like he's like a couple of years.
That was a different experience for me, but I can relate because now I'm experiencing that, but at vastly. So that should tell
Instead of
you.
it going down in the DMs, it was going down in the BlackBerry.
The BBM.
BBM.
What's your code?
My stats students were actually saying when they were revising and listening to the YouTube videos, they're like, we're too comfortable in this man's class. So I'm just thinking about conversation now, but highly relevant to what we're speaking about. So now, external factors, natural nature of marketing. All right, is it? I think here it should actually be the nature of market. Is it a closed market? Is it an open market? All right. If it's a closed market, that means that not everybody can jump in. And as such, if not everybody can jump in, then we can charge what we want. Basically, we are either an oligopoly or monopoly, right? So, yeah, that will obviously influence our pricing, right? Because, yeah, why would you not price higher if you can? Anyway, maybe you got better ethics than most of us. So, yeah, let me leave it at that. Then market competition and price elasticity of demand. Okay, I know all of you are economics boffins, so you know exactly what we mean when we say price elasticity. All right, but granted, yes, competition will obviously influence pricing, and usually when there's a lot of competition, that drives down your price. All right, when we're talking price elasticity, we're saying, ish, how sensitive is your customer to price, isn't it? The more sensitive they are, the less wiggle room you have in obviously increasing your price. Then economy, are we experiencing a recession or a boom? That one is pretty self-explanatory. Then the impact of government and taxes. All right, sometimes government may subsidize your product, so obviously you can then offer it cheaper. In other events, government might put legislation out to say, when it comes to things like bread, when it comes to things like fuel, when it comes to things like electricity, right? We need you to price in a certain manner. We can't just have you pricing exorbitant prices because we need to make sure that everybody has access to the basics. Okay. Then optimum price and optimum level. Okay, is the selling price that maximizes the profitability or market share for any product or service. It is the highest selling price at which optimal output can be sold. Optimal output, all right? Optimal output is where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Okay. We were talking about theory earlier. There's some theory for you. Then market penetration strategy. I'm sure these concepts are not brand new to you guys. Market penetration, we obviously charge a low price so that we can obviously enter the market and gain market share. Okay. Here, obviously, customers are not brand loyal. All right. So the cheap price will attract them to your product. And then obviously, there's no huge barriers to market in such a scenario. Okay. This strategy is based on the assumption that customers are not brand loyal and will switch to the new brand purely for the cheaper price. Okay. But you need to be careful with market penetration because if you are using that solely to get market share and you actually have a quality product or a product that is not necessarily cheap, for lack of a better term, when you now want to price according to the quality of your product or where you think it actually should be, it's hard to change people's perception towards where you have initially positioned yourself. Does that make sense? So you need to be mindful of that.
So an example could be like Smeg houseware.
I'm not familiar with that. But go on.
It's like
It's 3,000 rand for a kettle.
yeah, so that
Okay.
it's like they sell like
Wow.
kettles, toasters,
Yeah.
but like their prices are ridiculous.
Okay.
But you could buy like a Russell and Hobbs,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like the normal watch buy like Ewan Macro
Mm-hmm.
for like I think you get a kettle for like 300-400 rand. Like a Smeg kettle, like actually it'll be like 3,000 rand and upwards.
Does it do anything that is?
No,
That's the
it's
same.
just a
It's
name.
just
Just a name.
big, and it's like, what you saying? So it's like, it's just nice to have.
It's nice to look at.
Yeah,
And it's very
like
fancy
really
looking.
cool, like colors.
Yeah.
It's a don't you say where it's like you're paying for like design.
Okay.
It's not smell is not that pretty, but
Yeah.
like,
Brand basically.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like current
That's
voice
fine.
as well.
Okay.
Current voice is also super expensive.
Yeah, man. I guess it all depends on you, man. What brings satisfaction? Like, I really am one of those people who, personally, I think, look, do what you do. You know, you only live once. Don't. I'm not saying be careless or carefree. Oh, so I have seen these. I just never paid attention to it.
No, I was just asking because you're saying that market penetration
Mhm.
and like justify as to why they should price their product.
So these guys definitely should not dare to do such a thing. And on top of that, I'm sure when you're doing market penetration, one of the things that you are obviously interested in is volumes, right? So if you charge high prices, you're not really interested in volumes. You're
Yeah.
actually interested in a niche market traditionally,
Yeah.
right? You're interested in a niche market. So that's why you'll find for things like when the Jordans get released or when the Kanye's get released, they don't make millions of pairs.
Yeah.
They just make a small number. And not everybody in that line is going to get one because they're like, we're not trying to do volumes. We know our price is quite high.
For example, your
Yeah.
Yes.
it's like the price of a car.
Mm-hmm.
125,000.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. But I mean, look, if you work hard, you can afford those things, and those things give you value as a human person, as a human being. I'll never be like, yeah, why are you doing that? But yeah. So just to wrap this up, then the policy is only appropriate where there is a high demand for the product, prices are very elastic, there are many substitute products in the market is easy to enter. Okay, right. So I'm not going to go into advantages and disadvantages. I think you guys can read through those, and for the most part, I think they're very um, self-explanatory. Then, what is this now? Okay, these are Jordans. Oh no, yeah, Jordans.
Check to see the price.
Oh, I've never seen Jordans priced that much. Wow. Okay. Um, target costing. Okay, so this is another approach to your pricing. So here they're saying target costing is the minimum cost that can be incurred on a product for a company to earn the required profit margin from the product at a given selling price. Okay, target costing involves the following steps. Number one, considering the strategic and financial goals of the company, undertake and evaluate the results of the customer and market research to determine customer demand and pricing flexibility, consider the product design costs and processes. Then number four, define the product's target selling prices and profit margin. And number five, deduct the target profit margin from the target selling price to establish the target cost. Okay, you got more steps. Number six, determine the product's actual cost. Number seven, if actual product cost exceeds the target cost, determine ways to control and reduce costs. So here you would probably then end up changing suppliers, maybe reducing the quality of the materials that you're using. All right. Then number eight, consider coordination between departments to redesign the product, manufacturing processes, and inputs, obviously, to make sure that you're hitting your targeted cost. Okay, right. Target costing ensures costs are considered throughout the manufacturing process and product life cycle, identifying features to be improved and setting design and cost reduction targets. Okay, right. Again, you guys can go through the advantages and disadvantages. Okay. Now, limitations. I think here there was something that they highlighted that I thought was highly relevant. It requires detailed cost information, right? And you might not always be 100% accurate with that. Okay, so there are estimations for the most part, and that can obviously, you can target certain costing, and obviously then when you start to manufacture the product, it might not be what you realize. But fortunately, in those steps, which I think was very good, is that they actually measure what was the actual costing. But now from my side, I look at it and I say, you've invested already a lot of time in terms of research and so on. So either way, even if you say we're not going to then produce this product, you obviously spend quite a bit of time invested in this process. Then requires the buy-in and coordination of many stakeholders within the organization. Remember, you're using different departments to ensure that you are within the targeted cost. All right, then finally, may compromise product quality if poor quality inputs are used in an effort to achieve the target cost. Okay. Now here's the next one. The next one is transfer pricing policy. Okay. Involves the setting, analysis, documentation, and adjustment of changes between related parties. Okay, here when they say related parties, they're obviously talking about related parties within an organization. So divisions, branches, subsidiaries, and so on and so forth. For transactions involving the sale or purchase of goods or services and use of property. Okay. A lot of people say McDonald's is not a fast food restaurant, it's a property business. So you'll find that they'll have a property arm within that group, and then obviously you have the restaurant business. And obviously there's some sort of relationship going on there. Does that make sense? So you'll find the people who franchise then are obviously not owners of the actual building, they are leasing it from the property group. Just for argument, I don't know if that's factual, but I assume that's what they mean when they say it's not actually a fast food.
Wouldn't that just be all fast food places? Because I doubt.
It could be, but not all of the, like for instance, let's say KFC is in a mall. That space belongs to the mall, not necessarily KFC.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that McDonald's is probably not the only one doing it, but yeah, there could very well be instances where they can't also own property.
This is a portion in Waterfall. It's by Polo Fields.
Yeah.
There's Steers,
Mm-hmm.
Fisherways,
Okay.
and Debonaires.
In Polo Fields.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So it's like the Polo Fields. I think it's like a shopping complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outside.
So all three of them are next to each other, but all of them are owned by one company. I think it's food something.
Yeah.
So
I know who you're thinking about.
There's a good chance that they don't own that land.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, it's a shopping center.
Mm-hmm.
Doubt they would own that portion.
100%. You know, the thing about it is eventually competitors at least get to see a lot of your business model, and things get revealed because employees leave you, they don't always stay with you, and they obviously have had insight into what is done in the company. So your trade secrets and all that don't always stay forever protected, right? On some level, these things will eventually seep up. But anyway, beautiful discussion. An optimal transfer price is the price that maximizes overall firm profits. So the reason why we are doing this is because we want to keep the money within the business. Does that make sense? So we also want to make sure that your division is functioning optimally. So we're not going to overcharge you because your well-being and your success ultimately helps the group. Does that make sense? So you know, F&B First Rand, all right? Within the First Rand group, you've got RMB, you've got FNB, you've got, what else is there? West Bank or West Bank. Then what else is there? There's quite a few, all right? So just to give you an example of one of those type of conglomerates, Bidvest, same thing. They got 1,000 things, businesses underneath that umbrella. Okay, so that's where such a policy could very well work. Okay, anyway, so here now they're showing the objectives: preserve divisional autonomy without prejudice to the group, provide information for divisional performance evaluation, allow deviations to make and share profits, motivates divisional managers to make goal congruent decisions, encourage divisions to make decisions to maximize profitability of the division and the group. Okay, we're looking out for each other. Minimize worldwide taxes and duties. Okay, so yeah, okay. So factors influencing transfer prices, you guys can obviously read through that. Okay, and then different methods of transfer pricing. You've got market-based. Okay, so here you look at the existing selling price within the market. Okay, this method can be affected by the nature of the market. All right, so you need to assess which is most appropriate for your conglomerate. Cost base. Okay, sometimes we might actually just charge the next division what it costs us to make the product. Okay, other times we might charge with a markup. All right, so those are the things there. Then cost base continued. Okay, so we can go on. Then we can negotiate to say, oh look, man, we're not going to sell you just at cost. That would be pointless because obviously we put time and energy, so we need some sort of a return. But at the same time, you are part of the family, so why don't you tell us a favorable price for you, which will also then be a favorable or decent price for us? So you can negotiate. Then lowest and highest goal congruent transfer price. The goal congruent transfer price is the price that ensures the optimal number of units are sold to achieve maximum group profits. Okay. The basic process for calculating a goal congruent transfer price is as follows. Determine the number of units that need to be sold to maximize group profits. So here it's almost like all you're thinking about is the group. Okay. Determine the minimum transfer price. This is the variable cost of the selling division. Okay. Determine the maximum transfer price. This is the selling division's variable cost plus a profit margin. Profit margin is usually the differential contribution lost by the buying division or the group. Form an opinion on the optimal transfer price. Okay, right. Now, one of the disadvantages, I think maybe because I didn't obviously read through everything, one of the disadvantages when it comes to especially these pricing strategies between divisions and stuff is the divisions with more power and influence might be able to sway things in their way. So especially when looking at the negotiation side of things. So if they have more, let's say, more buy-in with the higher ups, okay, obviously it'll be easier to have things decided in their favor. And that can come at the cost or the expense of the next division. Does that make sense? So I think that was just a point worth highlighting. But otherwise, that is your learning unit 7 from a theoretical standpoint. So all I want from you guys for homework is to go through 7.3 and 7.2, those two exercises. Okay. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Okay, right. So guys, please go and do your eye stuff.